Well, hello YouTube, and welcome back to another video. First up, I want to say I feel a bit sad for this community. There's been a lot of bullying type behaviour and even threats on Twitter aimed at various people who are either not on board with VeVe anymore and still like to share the reasons why, or people who are die-hard fans and love everything that VeVe does. Now, to me, we are all different and we all have opinions which we are allowed to share freely. Whether you like those opinions or not, no one should be threatened for what they have to say. So VeVe community, we are better than this, and you know we are. But anyway, back to today's video and the reason we are here. Do you remember all the hype back in the day? All the hype for the drops and all the excitement that came along with it. We seem to have lost that ever so slightly. And is it because VeVe has lost its first mover advantage? Let's find out. VeVe burst onto the scene with a ton going on. First up, there was Omi token. That brought many of us into VeVe in the first place. There was a ton of people, including myself, talking about the burning of the tokens and when the collectibles were first purchased, and the fact that the lower the price of the Omi, the more the burns and therefore the better for everyone. But they even had some big YouTubers promoting the platform and some famous faces in the crowd as well. They also had a killer communication strategy. Do you remember those weekly AMAs, the Ask Me Anythings, and constant updates as well? It kept the community buzzing with excitement, speculating about what was next. People were live streaming the AMAs and then talking about the backgrounds that David Yu had and to whether or not the license was coming to VeVe. People were excited because in our eyes, if VeVe succeeded, which we all knew it would mean the Omi token would naturally go with it due to the burns which would come with it. They announced several things that, when taken to an extreme, literally had the power to send the Omi token to the moon. Like the time they said they would have a select number of collectibles that could be purchased with Omi, and this Omi would be burnt. Now, they really didn't think this one through, as I explained in a video way back then. How they would be able to make any money from it was impossible if it was straight from Omi to NFT from the store. But it was great for token holders as the entire drops would be bought with Omi, and if it transpired that all the Omi would be burned, then that would be great. Unfortunately, a lot of these things were changed, and I understand it was due to the regulations and the constant change in business in general and, well, you know, just trying to please the community and the IPs as well. You only have to look at massive companies like Pepsi and Netflix to see how they had to pivot many times before becoming household names. But back then, things were a lot simpler, obviously. A limited number of collectibles dropped once a week. Everyone knew exactly when to tune in, and it fueled the hype machine pretty much perfectly. Many of the drops sold out instantly, in fact, and were going for hundreds of dollars straight after in the aftermarket. And that was even before the influx of bots as well. It was just the excitement around the collectibles and the fact that you could, flip them essentially for a lot of money and then buy more collectibles. But the crypto world moves fast. The landscape has changed. VeVe isn't the only game in town anymore. Some have fallen by the wayside on the journey up, and others have just started to show promise. Cryptoys, for example, just announced interoperability is possible using a teleport function, and they've released their marketplace. So now you can send your receipts for your toys to the MetaMask wallet. It's a great step forward, but there are some caveats. Firstly, it's still not really true ownership. Although, to be fair, do you ever really own an asset unless it's on chain? You only have to look at Goblin Town to realise that any asset can be changed at any time. Just like VeVe updates the collectibles with new features, sometimes they could also just wipe them out completely and you'll be left with nothing but a receipt that holds the link to nothing, basically. The same could happen with Cryptoys, and people say they want to be able to have these collectibles, like even if VeVe or Cryptoys goes bust, but in reality, all you ever hold is the receipt for the link anyway. And if VeVe was to be no more, then that link for your collectible would essentially be worthless. Anyway, just like anyone holding the recur passes knows all too well. It's all very well saying that we want interoperability and ownership, but it's really going to be a sense of ownership, and it's all done with contracts and links, and you never really have the item in your possession as it only exists in the virtual world. There's also a huge issue of security. I can now send my toys to MetaMask. Unfortunately, MetaMask is a minefield for getting hacked or phished if you're not well versed in how it all works, or if you don't have a secure app working in conjunction with it like Pocket Universe or Wallet Guard. Both of these, by the way, are great as they let you know in plain English what is happening even before you do a transaction. And it has transaction simulations to allow you to know exactly what's going to happen in case you click a dodgy link. You can find out before everything goes to the hacker's wallet and you lose your entire load of crypto. Although this landscape is changing as of now. You only have to look at the Dapper Labs lawsuit to realise that soon VeVe may have to offer interoperability as promised by law to comply with new restrictions. If you want to know more about this, you can check out the Superstars video here as they break it down absolutely perfectly. But let's face it, the crypto world thrives on hype and speculation. When there's a constant stream of news, exciting drops and roadmap reveals, people get fired up. Right now, it feels like there's a lull in the excitement. Those AMAs and updates seem to be a thing of the past. The community craves the connection. That feeling of being in the loop. Without it, speculation dries up and interest can wane. And unfortunately, as much as it's great that they don't put timelines anymore, because it leads to missed deadlines and complaints, there is hardly any communication anymore except if they do release a new feature, or maybe there's something on Twitter, but not everybody uses Twitter. But in my opinion, the reason to do AMAs again is not just to give info to the slowly decreasing VeVe fam, but also to give the YouTubers something to speculate about, something to stream about, something to make hype about. The more hype in crypto, the better. The narrative needs to be changed for people to join and be happy to speculate. When all there is to talk about is the next drop that's going to go under the price that you paid for it, or when things don't go according to plans on the drops, that basically breeds negativity, as we know, and then the sentiment changes for both the Omi token and VeVe. So, has VeVe lost its first mover advantage? They built a strong foundation, but competition is fierce now. To recapture that early magic, they may need to reignite the hype machine. The good news is, there is still a lot to be released. Omi to NFT is coming soon, according to Foster on Twitter, which will give a small burn per transaction of Omi. It does, however, mean that there'll be downward pressure on the token as people will be selling collectibles in exchange for getting the Omi. Unless they're happy to hold, of course. The good news is that this all happens on the inside layer 2 part of the app, so quite a lot of people find it very difficult to actually remove the Omi from the app, so they probably won't bother, and therefore they'll just accumulate it in the app, which means there's not as much sell pressure. In theory, the selling pressure should be eased also by the buyers of the collectibles, as in order to buy with Omi, obviously you need to purchase it first on an exchange. But bear in mind, there was also a lot of whales holding a lot of tokens already, so we probably won't see much of a price change as, well, they'll be using their already accumulated tokens. On the other hand, when they need to top up after buying a ton of collectibles, we may see the price start to move a bit. So, although I don't think Omi to NFT will be a huge game changer in terms of the price straight away, it's definitely a step in the right direction and will prove that the team is working on stuff when it comes to fruition. The game changer for me, as I've always said, will be when you can actually buy Omi in the app. Depending on how they have it set up, if it's just a one-click buy Omi to buy collectibles, and then they reward users for buying with Omi, well, then it could be a non-IP item, like accessories, for example, and they could even burn that Omi. All in all, we need more communication so the features can be hyped up. We don't need deadlines, because obviously we don't want deadlines, but it would be great to know what's still in and what's out of the OUP, rather than just having to guess and wait for features to be released. Either way, we are still early, and I am still bullish on Omi for the long term. Just sentiment at the moment is at a bit of a lull. Thanks for watching.